told Abraham and Sarah, that they were going to conceive. We know him to be Isaac. He told them that they would conceive. Years have gone by and they became desperate. Sarai asked her maid, Hagar, if she would lay down with her husband and have a baby, because she thought that, well, God promised me a child. He must give me this child through Hagar. That may be the only option because I'm barren. I'm old. This must be what he meant, thinking for God. So Hagar laid down, they had a baby, she got pregnant. As Hagar is showing, Hagar does start to get a little hasty with Sarai because she's cocky. She's like, oh, I have a child, I conceive with your man, and you can't even conceive. So Sarai was mad. She went to her husband. She said, you gonna let this lady talk to me? He said, you told me to lay down with her. You handle it. That's your maid. She was so mean to Hagar. Hagar ran off into the desert. This story talks about seeing the value in other people, and sometimes when we are so self-centered in ourselves. So please go get our Bibles. It is located Genesis 16, chapter 16, chapter 21, verse 8 through 21. Okay, so I'm going to be reading from the Big and Beautiful Bible Study. So the synopsis: a pregnant Hagar flees amidst threat to her and her child's existence. While in the wilderness, an angel sees her and shares God's future for her. The outline. So Hagar's story begins wrapped up between Abraham and Sarai. Hagar's story begins wrapped up between Abraham and Sarai. It's wrapped up. It's in the center of their story. But she has her own story. Don't get it twisted. You're not in someone's background. You may be in someone else's story, but God got a plan for you. God has promised to make Abram and Sarai into a great nation with many descendants. But a decade has passed and still they find themselves bearing no children. In an act of desperation and dismissal of God's promise, key word is what Sarai did. Sarai decides to take matters into her own hands. How often do we take matters into our own hands? God has a plan. God may not be there when you want him, but he is always on time. And sometimes we put a deadline on God. We start clocking him and we say that you need to hurry up and do this by this time. So we take matters into our own hands. The hard part about that is that what we sustain outside of the will of God, what we do outside of the will of God, we must sustain outside of the will of God. The beautiful thing about it, if you don't know, is that God still blessed them, even though they took matters into their own hands. That may not be the story for all of us, so be careful. Okay, so in an act of desperation, Sarah decides to take matters into her own hands. She exercises authority over her maidservant, Hagar, to serve as a surrogate mother, giving her